Hello, I'm Aunnie, and I am with Miri, Taleena, Wendilynn, and Firnlambe, also known as Fern. And today we're going to be discussing the episode 8 of After School, Lucky or Not. In this particular episode, Kang Tae-poong, it's his turn to pick up the mission. And the mission that he gets is horror movie. So right off the bat, we kind of know the whole show at this point has been kind of ridiculous. So we kind of know exactly what we're walking into, in the sense that we don't know anything at all. And the name of the episode, or the show that they're actually going to be recording, is called, I have it written here somewhere. The Teacher Who Drowned in the Toilet and Is Still in the School. So already it's a really huge title. What did everybody else think of the movie itself that they shot?
I had trouble watching because it's secondhand embarrassment and me do not go well at all. I am horrible with watching embarrassing scenes. I don't watch them. I turn audio off and I cover up everything except subtitles and just muscle my way through it like that. So this was a very awkward episode for me to watch. That's just me though.
How about you guys?
Oh, I thought it was hilarious because it gave you a chance to kind of mock the whole production industry, the actors mocking the production industry at the same time of kind of being like kids and putting together a slapdash movie with under $5. So it was hilarious that way. For me, I enjoyed that.
The special effects were amazing, right?
Absolutely. And what's even better was all the little people that were trying to run in the background, and hide from the camera, or the whispers, do this next.
Right. That was actually probably one of my favorite parts, was the trying to hold the thing up in the back of the pants.
Oh, yeah.
That, and then Tae-poong being the director, like running behind, trying to...
Yeah, that was it. Yep. That was it.
Yep, absolutely.
And the girl trying to ignore it, It's
right.
happening, but just ignore it, quick.
Right? It's not happening. Nothing to see here.
Right.
How about you, Wendilynn?
Absolutely.
My favorite part was, oddly enough, her going around and trying to figure out why they were talking about the toilet. Because we had just had this really embarrassing episode with the aliens where she had constipation, and it was so funny to watch those two boys just be completely disillusioned as they discover, wow, girls poop.
It's funny because they had the disillusionment, and then immediately Tae-poong, who's the jock, had completely set it aside. It was like, okay, well, I guess girls poop, everybody does, but you would never think anything else about it if it was another guy, So he just completely sets it aside and was like, huh, what? Really? What could possibly be your problem? And she's so, has her heart fluttering about one of those guys that of course she's completely self-conscious about it. It's the difference of wondering how it's going to affect a relationship, whereas that doesn't even enter the guys' mind, even the guys who like her.
In fact, that one episode has now lived in our family's verbal usage on a daily basis. If there is someone that has an upset stomach, we don't say, I'm feeling bad. We say, uh-oh, episode 7. And that lets everyone in the family know, without telling everyone at large, that, there's a problem.
The whole world.
I know.
That's kind of convenient, actually.
Yeah, see? It's going to live in your dialogue now.
Right. Only when I say it, everyone around me is going to be like, what the hell is she talking about,
It doesn't matter. You can act crazy.
It's as long as you know, Aunnie. As long as you know.
Thank you, Fern. The other thing that, actually you kind of touched on it a little bit, Miri, about how real some of these situations are, like, or I'm sorry, not Miri, Taleena, how some of these real situations are, like, in real life, like, the men wouldn't even enter their mind to be worried about the fact that she was pooping. It was something that she was doing, but she was horrified by it. And it kind of brings to light some of the seriousness of the things that happen in a lot of these episodes, along if you move past the ridiculous things that happen, like with the crazy Ajumas from episode 2, I think it is. If you move past all that garbage, which is all funny and great, and look at the story itself, it's all pretty real. And I was really surprised by how real a lot of the situations were in this series, despite it being a ridiculous comedy.
Right, like the moral of the story for the previous episode was make sure you know where your bathrooms are before you go camping, right?
And there hasn't been like some crazy
Bring a
woman
roll
who
of
drowned
toilet
herself
paper
in the
with you?
toilet.
Right.
Well, I would say the difference of what you're talking about there, Aunnie, is that while the situations they find themselves in are absolutely ridiculous, the relationships are treated the way actual relationships would be. You know, there's the comic element is not in the relationship; it's the situations they find themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the relationships are real, you know, are treated as real. The stressors on them are treated as real. And so I think that's what really kind of grounds out all the craziness, you know.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things I'm sure Hope agrees with me on is the fact that it might have, I don't know if waiting to the last 3 episodes to find out about the friend, if that helped or hurt the show. You know, because then you didn't really understand what was going on. You just knew it was these really ridiculous, and then you get to the seriousness at the very end, and you kind of had to look back at it retrospectively. Did you feel like that at all, Hope? Fern?
I think it would have been better if they had done more underlaying of the background story throughout the entire series instead of just sort of going, oh, by the way, here, this is why we're doing this, and
except you kind of knew something like that was going on, yeah.
I would disagree. I do think that they do underline that there's a reason these boys are doing what they're doing, and that it has to do something that's very important to them. I caught that in every episode, and I was actually really happy by the time we get to the end of the episodes.
I agree.
Because it was like, oh, finally, now we get to know what the big secret is. The secret that's they've been carrying with them. And most of the time you only get to see the looks they give each other, because that is sometimes the only thing that clues you in. Oh, this is one of the secret things.
And that influenced the love triangles. Why there was so much restraint with all the boys. Even in that last scene in episode 8 with the horror movie, there's all this like tension, sexual tension, and yet everyone is really constrained to do anything about it. And she's sitting there going, I don't get what's going on. Because she feels it, but no one acts on it, really.
And I know for me, it's pretty, you know, there's little signs, you know, when they're in the very first episode, when they look at each other like, it's a secret. And they said it again in the second episode that it was a secret. So you knew that they had something. And then, I don't know if you guys caught it, but I don't remember what, it's the episode where Kang Joon cross-dresses, so I think it's still the second or third episode.
That's the second. The cross-dressing is the second episode.
Okay. They had, I don't know if you look at the keychain that he has for his panda, it actually has a picture, and when you look at the picture, it's got the friend in the background in a hospital suit. So I had a feeling, but they never explained anything. And the thing that bugs me is usually in K-dramas is they wait. You know, sometimes they give it like in Lovable Girl, they give you almost all the information almost right away.
In the first 2 episodes, yeah.
Exactly. And
background for My Lovable Girl. Continue.
The what?
Continue.
Oh. And so, you know, but in this one, like in like most K-dramas, they waited to the very end to kind of give you, and don't get me wrong, I still loved it, I still had a connection, but I wish they would have done it a little bit earlier so that I wouldn't keep asking myself, okay, what is going on? Granted, they're only 12-minute episodes. So.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So they were able to sustain that inquiry. You didn't kind of give up. And then when it came, it was the big aha, you know. So, but it explained a lot. But then it got serious. I almost cried.
Oh, I for sure cried.
Well, I have to say that those boys did a much better job crying than some of the other actors. I'm thinking of High School Love On right now, Dear Lord, poor Woo Hyun there couldn't cry to save his life. But, you know, for all of the goofiness in After School Like You're Not, they actually were really able to play the gravity of, you know, losing a friend. And it was the friend that held all the other ones together, all those disparate personalities.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I thought was interesting was how they fit so much of a storyline into such small episodes. And it was only, what, 12 episodes long? So you have, Hope and I were doing the math last night about it, and it was like some hour and 44 minutes or something. Yeah. So about the length of a movie, but for an actual episode, they gave you a lot of information for one episode, enough to keep you interested. So I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of cross-dressing themes, too.
I were able to keep so much in 12 minutes. There's a lot that goes on in these episodes. And what I love was the unorthodox way that they told their stories. Like, for instance, episode 3. Now, episode 3 is a really hysterical episode for me, because I have a childhood trauma similar to that, and I was like going, they did not go there to get on TV. They did not go there to get on TV. And I cracked up laughing so much, because that was absolutely hysterical that they were trying to get on a reality show so that they could get on TV goal.
Fulfill their goal, yeah.
Ended up getting on the news instead.
I love that scene that episode for a lot of reasons, because the beginning, the way that it led into him being on TV. You know, you're listening to this guy's story, and this guy's looking at him like, I totally adore you, you're awesome. And then it's like from that moment, and it seems glorious, and it's so picturesque, and there's like, it's setting sun over the Han River, and it's just beautiful. And then the very next scene you see is him crying on screen, saying, "He touched me," and it's funny. It's so funny. The switch from seriousness to ridiculous funny is they did it really well in the show.
Horrified, can I just say? I was horrified by that. Horrified. So, I'm glad that you guys derived humor out of that. I ended at that episode going, oh my gosh, that is just horrible, horrible.
I was right there with you. I did not find humor in that whatsoever.
And see, that's why it was really funny to me, because I went through that, and so it was hysterical to me that they used that as. But that really, but if you hadn't figured out by episode 2 that they were
by episode 1 they lit their fart on fire.
Yeah. That's a normal boy thing to do, but in episode 2 they use the cross-dressing challenge to handle the sleeping with the girl all night challenge. And
that was interesting.
And putting these boys in the middle of dealing with a S&M orgy situation.
Yeah. You know, back to episode 8, I think the funny thing that I also liked about that was how they went through the horror movie stereotypes. It's like, don't open that door, and then they had the little Blair Witch camera thing, and, and it was like, how many, little, psycho behind the shower curtain things could they cram into this tiny little vignette of a show? Yeah, it was hilarious. It made me try and go, oh, they're going to do this next, or, of course the guy has to carry the girl off into the sunset. It just wouldn't be a K-drama or be a horror movie if the girl didn't live,
That cliche, and that's the other thing. Cliches and K-dramas run rampant. So I'm shocked that this one didn't have, it had the cliches, but it didn't have as many cliches as most K-dramas have. Mm-hmm. The grabbing of the wrist and well, they had an awkward kiss, but that was awkward for many, many different reasons. But that whole self-sacrificing thing. I've never gotten used to it. I've never liked it. I still can't get over that.
Well, stupid noble sacrifice is a hallmark of, and if you want to see it taken to stupidity extreme, you just go and watch Angel Eyes. But this whole I like this idea of people who take responsibility for being in love. I love you. I have a responsibility to those feelings. How does it impact you? What's it going to mean to you? The problem is that because of the importance of personal responsibility, and for some reason in these dramas they like to, there's no such thing as an accident. It's always somebody's fault. And that means that if, say, I fall in love with you, but I found out that my uncle raped your sister and I now can't be with you because of their problem. Well, no.
Right.
You're not responsible.
It's that family owns and inherits problems, yeah. In the United States, we're much more independent. We go, well, that's their problem. That's not my problem. But here, a huge chunk of your identity is in how you're related to your family and inheriting family responsibilities and problems all at the same time.
And it's convenient because you actually live there, so you have that experience and you can tell, versus here in the States where we have absolutely no knowledge of how it really is in Korea, aside from K-dramas, of course.
So
I know that you didn't like the show as much as the rest of us did, so was there anything you were able to pull out of it that you enjoyed?
Well, there were parts that I laughed. There were funny things. I don't remember because I only just recently completed the series for the first time, and then the first 8 episodes I watched were a while ago, and so I haven't really done a refresher course. But I do remember honestly laughing at the scenarios that they put themselves in, even if I didn't necessarily like how certain situations went down. But I still found the humor in it, and I found it entertaining, even though it's not my favorite by any means.
What about you, Taleena?
Well, I liked it overall, and there are episodes, the horror movie episode, I liked in particular better. I liked the fact that they didn't resolve anything. I'm looking forward to series 2 because they just kind of got to a place where a resolution about the feelings of their friend who had died. But they didn't resolve anything else. They didn't resolve the romantic tension. They didn't resolve, the tensions between the boys and their parents. They didn't resolve any of that. So I did like it. It was funny. It had a lot of different kinds of humor in it. I think it really ran the gamut. How about you, Wendilynn?
I absolutely love the series. I do have kind of a bizarre, off-the-wall sense of humor, and so I loved that all the stories were unique, all of the storylines the challenges were all solved in odd ways. For instance, in the episode where they went and helped out at a senior center, they took 3 of the Ajumas out for a picnic, and the boys, when they let the ladies choose who they wanted to have lunch with, the boy who was left out was all upset and he was stuck with the pretty girl and that wasn't good enough for him. I loved that the storylines were, you thought the story was going straight, then it would take a left turn on you and you're going, what? And so I really loved that about this series, and so it's a series I love to watch over and over again.
How about you, Miri?
Well, I liked it a lot, but I was a little startled at first. I started watching it and I went, oh my goodness, what's going on? Because my previous high school K-drama experience had been Boys Over Flowers, Mischievous Kiss, and I was expecting that kind of humor, and then this one really hits you over the head with a 2x4. And so by the time I barely got my bearings, the episode ended, and then I was hooked because I wanted to see what was going to happen next. And because the series is such a short and brief episodes, you're able to really fly through it. I would heartily recommend it because it's lived and stuck with me. I can remember just about every episode, and it's been about a year since I saw it when it first originally aired. And so, and I've gone back and watched an episode here or there as I felt that I needed to. And so, yeah, a big thumbs up if you like wacky, goofy, slapstick humor. And I didn't mind the dangling storyline a little bit because I thought maybe, they'll pick it back up again. But it was okay. It let me wonder,
It's definitely a different kind of humor that I wasn't expecting from a K-drama. It was very situations that they find themselves in are not the situations that are common for any K-drama I've ever seen before, and so it allowed for me to sit back and go, okay, this is different. I can enjoy this. It's different, and you really don't lose anything since the episodes are so short. So it really is. It's what you see is what you get, and as demonstrated, it's either you like it or you don't, and that's just how it is with this drama. I like how though that as funny and ridiculous and hysterical all the situations were, it all came back to a very serious and strong point. And it really kind of brought home certain issues, for anybody who's ever lost a friend, for anybody who's got parents that are different, that they're, afraid to introduce their friends to, anyone who's had something happen in the past to them that, the situations they just haven't dealt with. Or, as an example is the guy that goes back to duel, his dance duel, his friend, old revenges that grudges that you haven't let go yet that you eventually need to face, So I think at the end of every episode had some sort of a real life situation that people could relate to, even if it was delivered in a hysterical way.
It's about growing up and moving on, but in a healthy way.
And healing.
So you can have the fun, but yes, absolutely healing.
Yep, healing. And that about wraps up this episode. So,
yay! The whole series, actually, we covered everything.
Yeah, right. We did. It was a
time for theories, though. So maybe next episode.
Right.